Okay, thanks everyone for joining. Really appreciate it. Let's go ahead and just kick things off. I'm really excited today about today's webinar. It's called Building a Culture of Continuity, Cal State Monterey Bay Success with Kuali Ready. Really quickly, just some quick housekeeping. This session is being recorded. All attendees are on mute. Put questions in the chat or the Q&A, and everyone here will be sent a copy of the recording if you need to bounce or if you wanted to share this with some of your colleagues afterwards. So, really excited today to introduce our presenters. So happy to have Kendall Emerick. She is a continuity and safety specialist in the Safety, Risk, and Sustainability Department at Cal State Monterey Bay. She's going to be sharing her challenges, her lessons learned, and some successes in building a culture of continuity at her institution. Also very excited to have my colleague, Eric Self. He's our Kuali's business continuity expert. He comes from the world of emergency management himself, formerly of Fresno Pacific University. He's going to be talking about some powerful new capabilities of Next Generation Ready and their benefits. Now, I'm John Williamson. I'm head of product marketing here at Kuali, and I bring decades of experience in higher education, both as a faculty member, as well as years in the tech industry itself. I'm going to start by just telling you a little bit about Kuali and the platform. Kuali came to be originally back in 2004 when a small group of colleges and universities came together to solve two problems: finding purpose-built software that really matched their needs, as well as a challenge around establishing relationships with vendors that felt more like partnerships. This group of colleges and universities pulled their resources to create software with the mantra of created by higher education and for education, for higher education. A lot of schools were attracted to this community. It grew really quickly, and the software was widely adopted. But there was a change afoot, and that was software as a service. It became the preferred way for consuming software, and the Kuali Foundation simply wasn't well equipped just to host software on behalf of its members. So in 2014, decision was made to create and invest in a private company, Kuali, that could offer a SaaS solution that with a focus on both design and accelerated development. And we've been evolving ever since. Oops, sorry, I went a little too fast there. As you can see here, some of these logos, we have over 230 colleges and universities. This number is growing quickly. We're really excited about that. I'm just going to take a second to tell you briefly about the Kuali platform. At Kuali, we have 5 different product lines that touch a variety of departments across the university. We have tools for financial management. We have tools for research administration. That includes things like sponsored programs, compliance, conflict of interest. We also have tools for curriculum and catalog management. That's for the registrars and provosts. And of course, we have tools for continuity planning, which is Kuali Ready, which we're talking about today. Finally, we have a tool called Kuali Build. Build is our no-code solution for online forms and workflow automation. Integrates with all of the products I've just mentioned and across the platform, and it allows you to extend the capabilities of each of these platforms, including Ready. Build also lets you move data easily in and out from online forms and workflows into and out of your systems. Here's just a bit about Kuali Ready itself. It is the only business continuity planning solution designed exclusively for higher education. It was developed from extensive conversation with folks like yourselves, folks who work in risk management, emergency management within context of higher education. So just want to talk a little about, this is kind of things that we are hearing about that led us to build Kuali Ready. As you know, there's a huge amount of increased workload these days. Staff members are usually wearing a lot of different hats, and they have to prepare for an ever broadening array of different sorts of threats to continuity and security. Obviously, right now, we're looking at things like recovering from hurricane, west fire season, things like campus protests to consider. And then sometimes we even have to deal with a nationwide situation such as a pandemic. All this falls into a very small group. Sometimes and often, it can even be just on a single individual. That's a lot to deal with. Another issue we're hearing about is the ability to accommodate plan customization. Every university, of course, is unique, has its own unique needs. You have your own nomenclature, you have things, your processes. And moreover, business continuity in the context of higher education is fundamentally different than business continuity in a business context. Finally, another big issue is ease of use. This has a huge impact on adoption and success. When taking on new software products, it can be a real challenge for some of your stakeholders. So we really focused on delivering an outstanding user experience with Kuali Ready. And finally, the fourth issue is the ability to maintain plans. Circumstances change from year to year. You have staff turnover, so keeping those plans up to date, ready to go when needed is a real challenge. We took all these four issues and brought them to bear when creating Kuali Ready. And so the core capabilities of Kuali Ready are the ability to not only easily create, but maintain plans. As we like to say here at Quality, your plan effectiveness is directly tied to your plan's accuracy. So you need a tool that makes this process as simple as possible. Next, the ability to review and approve these plans easily. And finally, the ability to manage and report on these plans, to have total visibility and transparency on the status, so your plans, so you can take targeted action when needed to move things forward. We've also found that it's crucial to make it easy to integrate these plans with your other systems. That's all for me. I'm very happy to hand things over to Kendall, who's going to be sharing her experiences.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for attending our session today. So I'm gonna just start off with a little bit of background on our campus, and then I'll kind of go into a little bit of background on myself. And I'm gonna take you on the story of how we developed a culture of continuity on our campus that had been lacking for years prior to me starting. So for those that are not familiar with the CSU, there are 20, CSU is California State University. There are 23 universities within the CSU system. We are one of the youngest and one of the smallest campuses. We are built on a former military base. So some of you might be familiar with Fort Ord Army Base. It was a huge trafficked area for basic training. It had about 1.5 million men and women that had received basic training in its prime time. So it's a pretty unique history that we have on our campus. In addition to that, we are a primarily Hispanic serving institution, which is pretty awesome here in our area. We do have the Tri-County, so Santa Cruz County, San Benito County, Monterey County. Most of our students tend to come from one of those three counties. Most of our students are also first generation students, which is a very interesting statistic for us. About 53% of our students are first gen. So we do have approximately 7,000 students on campus. So again, we are one of the smaller CSUs. Most of those students do live on campus though. So about 4,000 of those students are housed somewhere on our campus. We do have a main campus housing and something called East Campus housing, which is just down the road. What's unique about our East Campus housing is we also provide housing for our staff, faculty, as well as campus partners. So since we are in a heavy military location, we do have campus partners from the Middlebury Institute, DLI, which is the Defense Language Institute. So we do have some people living on campus that aren't necessarily connected to campus. So we have quite a few different variations there. So that's just kind of like a little bit of background on what CSUMB looks like as a whole. So a little bit about myself. I've been in this position for exactly 3 years now. I started in September of 21. I came to this position with absolutely no experience, no knowledge in continuity, which is pretty unique to most people that hold this position. I think most have some sort of background within emergency management or continuity, risk management, things like that. So for me, starting in this position, it was definitely a learning curve, trying to figure out, what the terminology was, how to best educate, how to get people convinced that this is something that they need, that they should be doing on campus. So it was definitely a learning curve for me. One of my primary tools that I used to kind of guide me along this was actually Kuali Ready. So I don't know if Janice is on this call, but some of you might be familiar with Janice. I spent several hours with her going through the Kuali Ready program. And when I'm referring to Kuali Ready, I am talking about the classic Ready. I'm not talking about next gen. So I spent hours with Janice trying to just figure out what some of this terminology meant and how to really use the Kuali Ready program. So one of the first things I did in addition to meeting with Janice was I set up a continuity plan of my own as a practice. I'm a really strong believer of practicing what you preach. So if I'm expecting people to go in and fill out these plans, I probably should know what I'm talking about and be able to best guide them through the system. So I did actually create my own plan, and it was kind of one of those guinea pigs. So anytime that I met with people to discuss continuity planning, I would walk them through my sample plan and kind of educate them on the do's and don'ts of, how to fill in certain sections. So the way that I started, once I got all that situated, so now we're looking at probably January of 22. I started meeting with every plan owner that I possibly could. So I had no idea who was responsible for what plan. The nice thing about Ready is that there is that reporting tool. So what I did is I actually downloaded one of the reports that gave me a list of every plan that I had. So as you can see there, I did have 60 plans. So I got a list of 60 plans and who was attached to each of those plans. So it gave me the plan owners and the plan editors. So from there, I was able to kind of figure out, okay, these people are no longer on campus. This is how I'm going to go about scheduling meetings. So I scheduled meetings with all 60 plan owners. Some of these included meetings with the plan editors as well. So we had anywhere from 1 to probably 5 people in attendance at each meeting. Between, I want to say, February and March of 22, I met with 86% of those plan owners. There were a few that I did have to push back a little bit further just due to timing conflicts. So with those meetings, it was essentially me sitting down with them for an hour, walking through page by page of their continuity plan and just educating them on the different concepts that were listed in Auto Ready. That's what we refer to it as, sorry. But I would go through the different concepts with them in the Ready program. I would go through different areas that were absolutely critical for them to update for that initial year. Because I didn't really expect them to update the entire plan that first year because it was kind of one of those things where these plans hadn't been touched in several years. So we were really just trying to get the most critical of the critical information that we could to kind of jumpstart this program. So it was a lot of me just telling them, hey, I need you to fill out X, Y, and Z section. This is where you're going to go to fill out those sections. This is how you're going to fill out those sections. And we would essentially have a working meeting. So it was pretty beneficial. And as you can see there on the left side of the screen there, my left side, there is a little timeline that I did come up with to kind of help gauge that process. So as you can see, January, it was really me trying to figure out what the timeline was and how I was going to go about this. February to April was me meeting with those plan owners. April to June, that was when we were really starting to get the plans updated. And I came up with the idea of doing a hard deadline of June 30th. So in my meetings with these plan owners, I was finding that there were certain departments that the end of June just was not going to work. So, and they all had like a similar theme. So a lot of them kept saying October. So with that, you'll see in the next slide, I think in the next slide, I actually separated the 2 deadlines. So I do have 2 different deadlines for our plans on campus. We have a June 30th and an October 31st. So that was kind of one of those things that came out of the plan owner meetings. Some other things that came out of that first year of trying to figure out what this program was going to look like. We found it very important for our campus to have an advisory group established. So we have about 12 to 13, give or take, people that sit on this advisory group, and they're all from different areas on campus, critical areas on campus that are going to be heavily involved or have some sort of significant impact if there was a disruption. And we meet monthly. We discuss all different types of continuity topics. It's a really great opportunity for us to figure out what's going on campus. And it helps me figure out what types of trainings people on campus might need to help improve that continuity culture. So that was something that we established right off the bat. Another thing that I became heavily involved in is our CSU Continuity Affinity Group. So the CSU, as I mentioned, does have 23 campuses. We do have an affinity group that meets pretty regularly. At the time, we were in between co-chairs, so I kind of took that under my belt. I thought it was a good way to kind of get that experience that I needed for continuity. So I did become a co-chair, and I was in that position for about 2 years. So all said and done, at the end of year one, I was able to get 74% of our plans updated. We did end up dropping the number of plans from 60 to 56. So it wasn't nearly as much, and not that big of a drop off, but 74% of our plans were completed. So that was a huge accomplishment for our first year trying to figure out what was going on. There we go. Okay, so moving into year two, as you can see on the left-hand side there, now I have 2 different timelines. So this is really where that started to come into play, of the 2 separate deadlines of June 30th and October 31st. During this year, it was really all about trying to reinforce this program, this setup that I had of, okay, at the start of May, you're going to get notified. You need to start updating your plans if your plan is due in June. And then it was just a series of emails that would come out up until that deadline. And the same thing would happen for October. In between all that, I was really focused on training. We really didn't have somebody on campus before I started that was dedicated specifically to continuity. So there was definitely a gap for training of continuity on campus. So that was something that I really wanted to address. So in that time, I did one on just basic continuity concepts, Continuity 101. It was for anyone on campus to attend. You didn't have to be a plan owner. We did an academic continuity, which was also a really important topic for our campus, because we do have a huge support from our academic division on campus for continuity, and they really needed and wanted that type of training. So I was able to provide that for them. We also dipped into IT continuity. So I did do a presentation on IT continuity and what that looks like and how to best prepare for that. So those were some of the trainings that I tried to highlight in between all that. And so moving past getting all these plans updated, the next step logically for me was to start tracking continuity incidents on campus. So we wanted to kind of see what we were working with. For me, it was going to give us the best idea of how we were going to approach updating our plans moving forward. So I did develop an after action report, and a lot of these questions I did get influenced from Kuali Ready, because we use these after action reports to then go back to our plans to continue to update our plans appropriately. So that was another project that kind of occurred during year two. So it's all starting to kind of slowly work together, get pieced together. In addition, some of the other big projects we did in year two that really helped build that culture on campus was we created an enterprise continuity of operations plan. So our overarching campus continuity plan, essentially. So we were able to create and implement that in year two as well, which has been a huge help to our campus, just kind of having that structure in place.
Kendall,
yeah.
Who was involved in that ECOOP that you said who are the stakeholders that were involved with that?
Yeah, so the stakeholders, myself, I was the one that primarily wrote it. My director was also heavily involved. Our campus advisory group did also have some input into what went into our ECOOP. And then eventually it did go up to the cabinet level, and the cabinet also reviewed it. So we have on campus, we have a huge support from our cabinet, which is amazing. It's probably one of the driving forces on our campus, having that support. So those were primarily the stakeholders for that.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. And one thing I did kind of forget to mention on the eCoop. So I was a heavy user of the reporting tool in Classic Ready. So one of the things I actually did for that is I actually pulled a report that pulled out all of the critical 1 and 2 functions, and I was able to sort them by division. So they actually live as an appendix in our eCoop. So when the VPs are looking at this plan, they can see in their division which departments have critical 1 or 2 functions that need to be addressed ASAP. So that was kind of a cool feature that I was able to connect the Ready program with our campus continuity plan.
You pulled that data and then you took that data and said, this is what I'm creating for that. And then that was a tool that was very helpful for cabinet.
Yeah, it was. And it's a living document. So I can go into Ready at any time. I can pull if there's new critical functions that were added. It's really easy. You can pull it as an Excel spreadsheet. You hit sort, and then you just file it as an appendix. It's an extremely useful tool, and it gives you exactly the information you need. It gives you the plan owner, it gives you the critical function, and it gives you the department that it's associated with. So it's extremely beneficial if you're looking to see just from an immediate snapshot what needs to be addressed first. So we felt it beneficial to include in that plan.
Cool.
So by the end of year 2, we were able to update 89% of our plans. So that's a huge jump from the 74 the year prior to 89. So we're trending in the right direction. So I was pretty proud of that. Now we move on to our current year. So our current year, I'm really happy to say we're pretty much in maintenance mode at this point, based off of all of our plan owners just being extremely receptive to the idea of continuity and wanting to make sure their plans are updated. So we are still on that 2 separate timelines. We have the June 30th, we have the October 31st. It works really well for people. They know exactly when their plans due. They know exactly when I'm going to email them. So it's becoming more normal to see my name pop up in people's emails, to be aware of continuity happening on campus. In addition to that, we have the after action report that I mentioned earlier. I have over 70 forms that have been completed within this 3-year time span, which is huge. That's showing that people are understanding what a continuity incident is, first of all, and how to track it appropriately. Most of the time, it is me reaching out to them to have them fill it out. However, they're understanding and they're filling it out as needed, and they go back and actually update their plans based off of the lessons learned from that form, which has been huge.
Kendall?
Hey, yeah.
Kendall, we actually got a question.
Okay.
Dora wants to know, did you create these presentations and trainings yourself, or did you use a vendor?
The presentations I created myself. I did use resources from Ready. I did use screenshots and stuff like that on like the different vocabulary, or if there was a section that I was trying to highlight, I did do that. But yeah, most of these or all the presentations were put together by myself. The only one that was not was the academic continuity. We did have the Associate Vice Chancellor come from the CSU to do a presentation, so she actually put that together herself.
Would you, there's been a interest expressed in seeing this plan. I've got some folks who are attending here who are developing similar plans, and they would love to sort of benefit from your experience. Is that something you'd be willing to share?
Yeah, of course. I have my contact information on the next slide, so I'll leave that up for anyone that would like to take that down. I'd be more than happy to share any of the templates, resources, if you just want to pick my brain about any of the presentations I've done or how I've kind of gone about our program, please feel free to reach out. We can schedule a meeting or whatnot. I'd be more than happy to help. It's definitely been a process and it's a lot of trial and error. So use what you can. I definitely have been using resources from other CSUs and just seeing kind of the process that they have used and just kind of going from there. So I'm a firm believer in that. Yeah.
I have one more question. Sorry.
Yeah.
One person posed the question that they thought the director of the department signed off on the BCP, not the BCP manager.
So, yeah, okay. So on our campus, I did not give managers an option. The plan manager is the manager of the department for us. That is the structure that we go with. I do give them the option to let someone that's not the manager of the department update the plan, but at the end of the day, I need approval from the actual manager of the department before I will go in and mark the plan as current. So I think that was maybe something that I skipped over on how we track when the plans get updated. So the way that it works is I will manually go in there and I put it as in progress. And the reason I do that is because Kuali does it exactly from the year or the day, a year from the day that it was marked as current, which doesn't always work for me because sometimes I'll have people that finish it June 1st. Sometimes I have people finish it August 30th. So it just doesn't always align with the timeline that I've set up. So I mark it as in progress. And then I essentially email the plan owners and tell them to go update it. Once they update it, then I have them mark it as in review. So you can go to the little plan status update, mark it as in review. Once they do that, that's when it comes back to me and I'll review it. And if I have any questions or if I see that there's a section, usually it's a critical function section that needs additional information, then I go back to the owner and I say, hey, I need you to go back in and add some more detail here. And then once I'm comfortable with it, then I mark it as current with their approval. So I hope that kind of clarified that.
Yeah, one of the comments was you're doing excellent work, Kendall. And someone would love to see those slides. But again, you already said that you were willing to share your knowledge and share the love, and you'll be getting your contact information in the next.
Yeah.
In the next.
Perfect. Yeah, so just a little bit more on some of the other things that we have done, kind of both between year 2 and year 3. So with the after action surveys, we've actually been able to track and document different continuity incidents. So I can start seeing trends now on different incidents that happen on campus. So I can tell if we're having, a high impact of IT incidents. I can tell if we're having a high impact of facilities incidents, just based off of this after action survey that I've created using some of the questions from Ready and some of the questions from other resources. So it's been really beneficial having that connection between the two to help kind of propel our program forward, because now people expect it. They want to fill out the after action report. They want to be proactive in trying to make sure that their plan is up to date. So it's been really great. Some of the other reports that we have been able to create using Ready as well, or using the support of Ready. I did just recently finish our first business impact analysis for our campus, which was huge. I did end up using the reporting tool again. If you haven't used the reporting tool, I really highly recommend using it. It's extremely beneficial. But I was able to pull out, again, the critical 1 and 2 functions. I was able to pull out some other critical data that we needed in order to help develop that impact analysis. Some of the other things we do is we do lessons learned reports, which are essentially the after action survey on steroids. So those are for our larger scale events. We do use questions from Ready as well. And they kind of supplement each other, similar to the after action survey. So that's all I have. hope I didn't miss anything. I know it was a lot of information. It's been a whirlwind of 3 years here, so we're just constantly trying to figure out what works for our campus and what doesn't. This is my contact information, as well as our website. There's a lot of good resources on our website too, if you want to take a look. I did link all of the presentations I've done on our website, so if you do want to take a look at those, you can view them there. But yeah, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions, you want to chat, you want to see my templates, please feel free to send me an email.
Awesome. Thank you, Kendall. That was really great.
Yeah.
Eric, you want to stop sharing, Kendall? And Eric, do you want to take over?
Yeah, I'll share my screen really quick here. So Kendall showed you a lot about the classic, as John was saying before, that we continue to evolve, and this is the next evolution of our Kuali Ready software, which I've dubbed Next Gen Ready, because it is the next generation. And as everyone can see my screen, correct? All right. And so I want to go right into our workflow builder. This is something brand new that was added into the system when we moved it over to this new platform. And so now, each plan has its own workflow attached to it. And so a lot of things that Kendall was talking about, I heard her say and that means she's doing a lot of things manually. And she's on top of it, and kudos to you for that, Kendall. But what I notice is with this workflow is we can take some of those things off your plate and automate some things, so that you can focus on the bigger things that happen with continuity on your campus. And so with this new workflow, what's really cool about this workflow is it's a drag and drop feature, meaning you don't have to have any kind of coding or anything like that. And what's cool about this workflow is what I've highlighted here is this design and test phase. So once our customer success determines with our customer what their business process is, and then this gets built out, you get to test it. So you just toggle that over, you test it. What's really cool about this is once you're doing this test, no data is changed, and the biggest thing is people are not being emailed. So you get to test this whole workflow out, make sure everything looks good, and then you can go ahead and publish and go live with it. So this is a really big deal and something that's brand new with the new platform. Also, I just wanted to, since I was giving you a still, I wanted to show you how easy it is. Don't take my word for it. Watch me do a little drag and drop feature here. So I took that same workflow and I want to add a notification at the very end of this workflow. And the reason behind this notification is, first things first, let's label that step. Like, what is that called, right? So, I put plan is approved. That's what that notification is going to be all about, right? So I've named it. And then it's like, well, who's going to be getting this notification? And so I want it to be a specific person on the form, right? Now, it's not showing the drop down, but there's a drop down where you can choose. And I chose submitter, right? Because of that plan manager, whoever is submitting that, they're the ones that are going to get that notification once that continuity plan has went through its workflow. So Kendall, you talked about those things. You said, hey, I go in and check review and say in progress. This workflow kind of just takes over for you in that sense. And when it gets to the end here, so what I'm doing here is I'm actually just putting in the email subject. I'm putting in like whatever I want in that email body to go to that person. It has your logo on it. It's branded. And then I check that box there and say, hey, let's give them a PDF of their plan as well. And then I finished, and then you can see that I've added something to that workflow. And it's that easy. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And so with that, you go into the actual continuity plan form. We took all the great things from Classic and we said, let's like Kendall said, let's give us some steroids. We're not promoting that, but we wanted to pump it up just a little bit, right? So this is what I call under the hood. So when you're looking at this is your form builder. Your continuity plan is here, and every institution's different. So we want to make sure that you're making that exactly for your institution. On the left here, you have all your gadgets that you're, like I said, dragging and dropping. into the WYSIWYG, which is in the center here. And then on the right-hand side is the settings. So you can see I've highlighted this buildings section, and it's saying, hey, how do you want to configure this building section? And the really cool thing about this is, just like the workflow, it has that little toggle button so that I can see exactly what it looks like in real time as I'm putting that together. So I'm working on it. I added something, I want to check it. I work on it, I add something, I want to check it. So this is where you can just really look and see, okay, look, now I have everything that I need in my plan. You can submit it and get it published and send it out to your folks. This is the what the actual reporting looks like now. And so, Kendall was talking about, she had the plan manager and the critical function, and there's a couple other things that she put in there. As you see at the top here, this is what I put for mine. I said, I wanted how much time on the current step in the workflow, who's the plan manager, when's the next plan review date, what's the continuity plan name. I chose all those things from this column section here. And then what I did is I created that as a default view. With the reporting now is you can have as many views as you want, so you don't have to go in and redo that every single time. Your view's there, you have it, you run that report, you export it, you're done. So for all the people out there that are visual people, I'm going to get to that in a second, but what I noticed here is, if you see red, usually there's something wrong, right? So you can see that a couple of these plans are in an error state. So now you have complete visibility into everything. You can see when it was submitted, who was assigned, and then you look at this one section, you're like, wait a minute, it's telling you there's no users in this department chair role, right? So you can easily reassign it, you can skip the step if you need to, so you can continue that workflow. But what to take from this is that you get, to see exactly where that plan is at all times, with this workflow. I don't know what you call it, a workflow magnifying glass. That's the name I'm giving it here. And then for all the visual people out there, we have the dashboard. You can see we kind of kept some of the where you can see the circle and it shows the plans. Kendall, just a quick question. On the classic version, can you drill down into that circle?
You're talking about where it has like the in progress complete?
Yeah, like this. Can you click on one of these and it'll show you?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yep. We
Yeah.
took that great feature and you can do that as well on here. You can also drill down into, like I have this showing for how much time on the current step. Like, uh-oh, this person right here is Selena. It's been 3 months. What's going on, Selena? Right? So you get, you kind of can see what's going on with those plans. And so people say, why Kuali Ready? And these are for me, this is what I believe is the differentiator for Kuali. People here are saying, hey, Kendall, can I have your some screenshots, or we need some help? Why reinvent the wheel if someone's doing something and you want to do that? So in emergency management, business continuity, we always beg, borrow, and steal. That's how we do it. We have these quarterly community calls. Every 3 months, we meet with all of our customers. Like I said, we have on average over 50 to 60 people on every single quarterly community call. And this is where we do that thing. We come together, we share ideas, and we really become a culture of resilience. The next thing is tabletop exercises. Kendall, you mentioned that, you want to see like what are we doing good? Let's harden those things. And then what gaps do we have, like the after action report? Well, we do these tabletop exercises once a year. We just did one last April. It was a ransomware tabletop exercise. So, your continuity plan is good, but let's exercise it and make sure that it's really doing what it's supposed to. And last but not least is quality days. Love this. It's once a year. It's customer focused. You can see this one was in April of this year, where we're training all of our customers, on the platform, getting them certified. This is a great time for everyone to come together and just talk about the things that they're doing. Oh, there's a whole bunch of information here. I don't want you to read all this. I don't expect you to, but I do want to point this out. This is our SLA response times. We have a 4-minute average on urgent tickets. we have a 25-minute average on high tickets and over a 99% SLA achievement. This is not me. This is our customer success team. Kendall mentioned Janice. Those people are rock stars. So I was like, I'm going to throw this in there and I'm going to do a shout out to them because they are the ones that make our customers feel welcome and answering their questions. Just like Kendall said, she spent so much time with Janice in the beginning, and Janice did it with a smile on her face. And that's what quality is all about. And that's it for me. I have my information here. If you have any questions, just grab your camera and put it over that QR code. It's not a Grubhub QR code or anything like that. Just it'll have all my information on there. And so you can reach out to me as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. And thank you, Kendall. Looks like a lot of people have stuck around because this is really good information, really good content. I wanted to just, does anybody want to ask Eric or Kendall a follow-up question? I, of course, have a few questions, but I'm happy to pass on any questions. In the meantime, while folks are maybe contemplating what they want to ask, I guess I would ask, Kendall, could you talk to me a little bit about the experience of implementation with Kuali?
Yeah, so when I first started, I really just didn't make it an option for our plan owners. It was one of those things where we had Kuali on campus since I think 2013, somewhere around that time frame, 2013, 2014. But when I started, it was people were associating me with Kuali Ready. So if you heard my name, you usually heard Otter Ready, and vice versa. If you heard Otter Ready, you knew that my name was closely behind. So it just became one of those things where I made it very normal on our campus that Kuali Ready is something that we use on campus. It is our resource. It is where we store our continuity plans. It's something that people need to get comfortable with. And that was kind of what my intention was when I met with all those plan owners in the very beginning. For me, using Ready in the beginning was a little intimidating because I was kind of all over the place. There was just a lot going on. I was still really new to continuity. And I knew that if I was feeling that way, they were probably feeling that way. So my approach was really to sit down with them and show them in a nice little chat like this, just hanging out, teaching them the different ways to go about using the program and how to actually utilize it to the best that they can. And it's not that scary once you actually get in there. It's actually pretty easy to use. You just need someone to sit there and educate you on what you need to be doing. So you're not sitting there, trying to figure out what's going on. So that's kind of what implementation looked like for us.
That's awesome. And we've got a couple of folks here whose questions indicate that they're sometimes just a party of one doing this job, and some folks who are doing this for the first time. So I was wondering, what advice would you give to these folks, and also people who are just trying to get their head wrapped around, because the stakes are pretty high and they want to do it right. So maybe what advice would you give for individuals who are starting to explore a solution like Kuali Ready so that they can feel comfortable with the choice that they're making, either for Kuali Ready or for some other offering?
Yeah, so I think for us, one of the biggest things was getting that support from our higher ups. So getting the support and the backing from the cabinet, from the deans, having all that before I even went to each individual plan owner was huge. Just knowing that they knew what I was going to be doing with that first year that I started, and going around to everybody that reports to them and educating them on this process and having them be aware, because I met with them as well. They had their own plans that they had to do, which was intimidating for me to have to tell a VP what to do. But they understood that it was important. And because I started kind of in the middle of COVID, it was one of those things where I was able to draw from that experience. I'm like, hey, do you remember about a year ago when you guys were trying to figure out what you were supposed to do, or how you're going to continue to do certain processes that were always in person, and kind of utilizing those experiences to develop that continuity plan. So getting that support is definitely something that I recommend right off the bat. Second would be to take it little chunks at a time. So each year I focused on something different. One thing I didn't mention was our exercise portion of the program. We do have that established as well. But basically, I started with the bare minimum of what I needed, which was getting all that critical information put somewhere, which was Ready for us. And Ready was a great little catch-all for us because we were able to keep all our information in there. I was able to pull reports, which helped support the program because it was giving us actual data. And when people see data, it usually tends to help sway people in the direction you need to, right? It kind of gives you that backing that it's important to have this information ready to go.
Right.
So taking those little chunks at a time, start small and then slowly work your way up. So for us, it was getting that critical information. Then it was focusing on training and any big projects that might need to happen, like having that overarching plan for your campus. That's definitely something that's been helpful for us. And then just kind of starting to iron out the details afterwards. After I got all of that critical infrastructure done, that's when I started focusing on testing the plans or having plan owners put more information in the plans. Because now we're in year 3, so they've already updated their plans twice. So at this point, we're starting to get into more of like the nitty-gritty details of, okay, we focused on critical 1 and 2 functions, but you still have these other functions that need to be addressed somehow. So I have started having people put in some of those critical 3s or critical 4. We call them deferrable on our campus. I've started having people iron out those details. So we're starting to slowly get more specific on our campus, but start big, start critical, and get that support from higher up.
Okay. We got a quick question from Lorenzo. He asked, what are your plan activation procedures? And we've just got a couple of minutes. So you can maybe reach out to Kendall, but yeah, give your quick thoughts on that.
Yeah, so we did have some criteria outlined for our campus on when I would actually do the after action report surveys. For actual activations, it's anytime they have some sort of disruption that's impacting the critical functions is essentially how we've approached it. One of the details that I'm working on now is I'm going to be creating some sort of like flow chart on how and when to identify when your plan should be activated, how you're going to activate it, things like that. So that's in the works. But right now, plan owners have a pretty decent idea of when that is. So
that's awesome.
And
so go ahead, Eric.
I was just saying the cool thing about that is that this muscle memory that people develop is whenever they have a plan that they've put together and they've talked about it and they're talking about this is what plan B looks like and this is my workaround. Like once they start talking about that and that becomes a normal thing, what's going to happen is you're going to get to a point where they're not even need to pull their plan. They just know what to do because they've already talked about it. They've worked it out in a low stress environment. And now they're just really just pulling the trigger and getting things done without having to ask so many questions on what's next or what do I do next or how do we do this. The faster you can get up and running from an incident, the better off you're going to be. So that's the good thing about creating that culture of resilience, and you're doing a great job, Kendall.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I have a really sort of simple, pragmatic question. How is pricing? Could you talk about the pricing model, Eric?
Yeah, so I'm not giving you numbers or anything. I don't want to. We don't want to do that, but I do want to say with the way our pricing model works is it's based on we want each institution to be as resilient as they need to be, and so if you charge on a per user basis, what you're saying is you can only be as resilient as what your budget allows, and so we don't charge on a per user basis. So when we give you that SaaS as a solution, you get us as a partner, and the only way that's going to ever end is if you divorce us and kick us out, because we will never leave you. So we will always be there. And so we don't charge on that per user basis. So you have as many admins, as many plan managers, editors, whatever you need in that system to make sure that you're resilient. And I'm sure Kendall appreciates not having to have restrictions on what she can do based on how much money they have.
Yeah, and I just want to add on that too, not having to pay per user has been extremely helpful for us because some of our plans do have, 6 people per plan that are working on it. So it's been really helpful because it kind of splits the load for the plan owners and the editors. So they're not, overwhelmed by the situation.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's all part of that building that whole culture. That the more you can sort of permeate that, the better. The more it's more likely to become resilient, as Eric said. Okay, does anyone have any final questions before we wrap up? This has been a really informative, really good conversation. Thank you so much, Eric and Kendall, for your time and for your insights. Let's see, anyone? All right. Well, thank you again, everyone. And I will be sending out, for those who couldn't make it, and if you have colleagues who wanted to come but they couldn't, we will be sending out this recording. So, all right. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.